Today's video is all about a reseller tool that I have been using on a daily basis. It's how I track my inventory and sales, and it's been a huge help as I've been preparing to file my own taxes this year. The tool I'm referring to is none other than My Reseller Genie. I found out about My Reseller Genie at PoshFest last year, and it's still a fairly new program, but I've been using it for the past few months and I absolutely love it. In just a couple minutes, you guys will be meeting a lovely couple by the name of Faith and Paul, and they are the founders and creators of My Reseller Genie. They will be answering a few questions about the software that my followers over on Instagram have asked. So if you guys ever want to join in on the Q&A fun, make sure you are following me over on Instagram at Diem Thrifts. But before we head into the Q&A portion of this video, I wanted to share with you guys some of the experiences that I've had with My Reseller Genie. Before using My Reseller Genie, I was using a spreadsheet that I bought from Mogi Beth, but I don't think she's selling it anymore. It was a great tool, but there were just some things that I wish were a little bit different. Before then, I was using a free version that I got from Not Your Dad's CPA, and both of them were great. I know a lot of other resellers offer similar spreadsheets for free and for sale on places like Etsy or just on Instagram, and they get the job done, but there's always something missing. The reason I was so intrigued by My Reseller Genie is that it not only kept track of my inventory and sales, but it also gave me in-depth breakdowns of all the sales that I make across all the platforms that I sell on, including at my pop-ups and in-person sales. The premium level also allows you to track other expenses, whether that be renting an office space like this one, or tracking mileage, or buying shipping supplies, or whatever else you purchase for your reselling business. It takes those expenses into account when it is calculating out your net profit every single month. There are so many other features that My Reseller Genie has that will help you analyze your business and help you make the best decisions when buying inventory or making other purchases for your business. But Faith and Paul will go over those a little bit more in the Q&A. My Reseller Genie is a monthly subscription, but there are two different levels depending on what you need for your business, basic and premium. The expense tracker is only available in the premium option, but that's the one that I use and that's the one that I recommend to others as well. If you are interested in trying out My Reseller Genie, you can use my code PDiemThrifts15 for 15% off your first month, and the link should be down below in the description box. If you are scared of Excel or hesitant because you don't really know your way around spreadsheets, do not fear, because there are a bunch of tutorial videos by My Reseller Genie on their YouTube channel that will help you through the whole onboarding process. You can also join in on their Facebook group and ask any question you have, and either another member of the community or Faith and Paul will answer your questions right away. Both Faith and Paul have been so incredible when it comes to answering any questions that I have when setting up my account or using my account. They answer almost immediately over on Instagram if you have any issues or if you have any problems while you are using their software. And one of the best parts about My Reseller Genie is that it is still fairly new. It is not done at all. There are so many different upgrades and features that I know Paul and Faith have been working on and are hoping to add in the near future, but they really listen to their customers when it comes to recommendations on features that we would like to see as resellers on their platform. It's been really nice to see that they actually implement the things that we are asking for on the My Reseller Genie software. They are extremely dedicated to helping their users grow their reselling businesses, and that is very evident in the way that they handle their customer service. If you guys have any other questions about My Reseller Genie, do not hesitate to reach out to either me or My Reseller Genie on Instagram. I will leave all of their information down below as well, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. But now I would like you guys to meet Faith and Paul from My Reseller Genie. Would you guys mind just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what My Reseller Genie is, how it started, how you guys came up with the idea and all of that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Faith. If you guys are following our social media account, you guys see mostly me, not Paul. He's more the smart behind the scenes person who's programming and developing our software and stuff. But yeah, so my name is Faith. This is my husband, Paul. We have been married for almost 5 years now. And I've been a reseller for about that time. So I actually was in full-time, like had a full-time job before reselling. And then I actually ran into some health issues. So I had to take a step back from that. Somebody told me about reselling. I didn't even really realize it was like this big thing. And, you know, just like many of you who are probably watching this, you quickly fall in love with it and then there's no turning back. So that happened with me. Fast forwarding a little bit, our first tax season came around and I was not tracking anything. And I'm sure some of you guys can relate, like with what that first tax season was like, or that first year of just, you know, trying to figure out what your numbers are and everything. And Paul is an accountant. And I think he felt really, really bad for me that first year. And he looked over and he's like, this is not good. Like, you know, like we need to have your numbers in place. Like we need to know, you know, yeah, what you need to be sending in for taxes and what you need to be setting aside and all that. So he created a really, really basic spreadsheet for me on Microsoft Excel so that I could track everything myself. It was great. It was really simple, but it was exactly what I needed. And then COVID hit I want to say a year and a half later, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. I can't remember the whole timeline.
And he was looking for some more work. I know, right? He was looking for some more work at that time. He was full-time in accounting, but because of, you know, the pandemic and everything, they had to cut back his hours and a bunch of other people's hours. So he was looking for some other jobs. And I remember we were actually standing in this room. I remember when this hit and I looked over at him and I was like, Paul, like I've been talking to all these resellers and there's so many people who don't have an accounting solution and it also freaks them out. Like it was scary to me, you know, like before I knew what I needed to be tracking and stuff, I was very apprehensive about that. I didn't know what I needed. And it seemed like this huge mountain to get past. And so I looked at him and I was like, maybe you need to take like that simple spreadsheet that you made for me and we need to kind of like jazz it up a little bit and then we can offer it to the reselling community. So he coded this gorgeous, I wouldn't even call it a spreadsheet, gorgeous, yeah, we'll just call it a spreadsheet in Microsoft Excel using VBA. And we were able to sell over 500 copies of that. We were super excited to help resellers. We had a 5-star average rating and folks were just really, really liking it. However, we quickly learned that, and you know, you might be able to relate with this, even though it was very easy to use, the interface of Excel can really scare people. It even scared me. So we quickly realized, okay, in order to be able to help the community more, I think we need to create a web app. So all of 2021, basically, most of 2021, we spent in development and we finally got our web app out, My Reseller Genie Web. So we've moved away from Excel and we are purely a web app now. And yeah, is there anything else to that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess one thing I should say is that Faith always likes to say that I'm the smart one.
He is that.
But that's like, we have complementary skill sets and her smarts help fill in my gaps and my smarts help fill in her gaps. So we're a good team together and she is smart in different areas than I am. So
I have the reselling smart. He has the numbers smart. So it works, but
I don't know. I don't think that covers it. You're amazing.
Okay. Next question, Karine.
I love that. Awesome. Well, yeah, like we were just chatting about this before we hit the record button, but I found My Reseller Genie at PoshFest 2021. They had a little virtual, like, I don't know what to call it, but I'm going to call it a booth. Yeah. And there was nobody in the room. And I was like, what is this? Like, this looks really cool. So I went in and then I met you guys and it was just like, from there, I was like kind of hooked. Actually, at first, it was a little bit hard of a start, but once I got in, like now I use it every single day. Like once I make a sale, I just like zoom over to My Reseller Genie, put it in so I can like track all of my stats and everything. And you guys have been such a help with any issue that I come into. You guys respond to me like right away, which is amazing customer service, by the way, because I've used other spreadsheets made by other resellers who kind of say the same thing, that, you know, like they wanted to make it accessible to other resellers, but it just wasn't that helpful, or like they weren't really helpful in the setup process. So like everything that you guys have provided from the YouTube videos and all of that to like really help your customers and users, like understand the platform and everything. It's great. It's awesome. Okay, so first, before we get into some of the questions that my followers wanted to ask you guys, can you just explain for the people who might not be aware of what My Reseller Genie is, exactly what your software does and like how it can help us as resellers?
So we are a accounting software specifically designed for resellers. So if you've been in reselling a while, you probably know there's a lot of spreadsheets out there which try to meet this need, and some of them do it well, some of them not so much. But if you're not really a spreadsheet person, it can be a little intimidating. And then once you start going into the software area, you start looking at like QuickBooks, GoDaddy bookkeeping. There's a ton of accounting softwares out there, but none of them really does everything that resellers need, or at least not for a reasonable price. Like QuickBooks, to get inventory tracking, it's like minimum $40 a month, and it's not even necessarily really designed around reselling businesses. So it can be hard to figure out.
There's a lot of workarounds that you kind of have to do to make it work for reselling.
Yeah. So our goal is to make something that was more intuitive for the reselling audience. So at the center of every reselling business, you've got inventory and you got sales. And that's kind of what My Reseller Genie was built around. So it's really important that you track inventory for your reselling business, because to report your cost of goods sold to the IRS, you need to have certain inventory numbers every year that you give to them. So that's a big gap that we fill for resellers. And then on the other side, sales, once an inventory item sells, you want to be able to track all of your sales in one place. So we allow you to record sales for any and all platforms. By default, we have like the top, 12, 15 reselling platforms, but you can add in any platform you want. So like if you sell at a flea market or a consignment store, you can add it into My Reseller Genie. So it's compatible with everything.
Yeah.
And then of course, we also allow you to track your other expenses, because businesses do have other expenses, and you want to take all the deductions you can get.
Like coffee.
Yes, coffee.
And like on top of the accounting, a natural integration is also analytics, right? So like being able to kind of see your business in color through charts and graphs. So we have that functionality as well. That helps you just get a gauge for your general business health. It also allows you to dig into sales and see like, hey, where am I making the most of my money? So there's a lot that you can do with that. I think the last two things I'll mention, one is we offer the ability to track cash, which if you're thinking paper money, that's not what I mean by cash. I mean money that your business owns. So like money in the bank. We allow you to track that and see that balance over time. We also allow you to print out profit and loss statements, which you need to file your taxes, and something we call the inventory report, which is a report that gives you the numbers you need to give to the IRS when you are reporting your inventory every year. So filing taxes, you can get all that info that you need in a couple clicks with My Reseller Genie.
Yeah. So think of it just like the all-in-one accounting / taxes tool for resellers. Like we mentioned, there's a lot of spreadsheets out there. I know a lot of the people who built them, they're phenomenal people. But a lot of the time it feels like they're just kind of, pinpointing or gravitating towards one area of the accounting world. We try to encompass all of it. because it's really helpful to have all of your numbers in one place, you know, and then being able to transfer all of that over for tax time. So our goal is just to make numbers less scary, to make them actually fun, and then also just to give you everything that you need for taxes, because you know, you guys all know with the new tax laws that came this year and everything, everybody's kind of freaking out and stuff about taxes, but it really is not that scary, especially if you use a software like My Reseller Genie, because we give you everything that you need for that. So we kind of take away a lot of the fear and yeah, just give you what you need for that.
I was using just a basic spreadsheet before I was using My Reseller Genie. And I even thought, like at the time, I thought that that spreadsheet had a lot of information because like I wasn't tracking anything beforehand. But then I started using My Reseller Genie and I was like, oh, I actually wasn't tracking all the things that I should have been tracking. And like, yeah, so I feel like this is totally a lifesaver. I'm going to have to file my taxes like on my own this year. I had somebody help me last year, but this year I'm going to try to do it by myself. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I feel like My Reseller Genie is going to put me like in a better place than I would have been if I didn't have all of this information readily available for me.
Awesome.
One of the questions that somebody asked was, how does My Reseller Genie differ from like Vendoo analytics or even Poshmark's My Closet Insights? Like, why should somebody pay for your guys' service when they have those other services that are kind of already ingrained in things that they're already using?
Yeah.
Awesome question.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think at the center of that question could be not understanding exactly what we do. So Vendoo and Poshmark both do provide analytics functions. My Reseller Genie provides analytics functions. But at the core of what we are, we're three different things, right? So Vendoo is a cross-listing service. You know, they help you make more money by getting your products on more platforms. Awesome service. Poshmark, they're a sales platform, right? You're able to sell goods on their platform. I was going to say goods and services, but you can't sell services. So you can sell goods on their platform. My Reseller Genie is an accounting platform. So you track all of the information you need to file your taxes and to also get information about your business as a whole in My Reseller Genie. So the purposes of each platform kind of dictate what those analytics provide. And I like all the analytics. I think Vendoo's got some really cool stuff. Poshmark's got some really cool stuff. And Genie's got some really cool stuff. Some of the differences are with, like, in terms of how you can filter your data. Vendoo allows you to filter by time, and they make that really, really convenient, which is awesome. And Poshmark, it's kind of the same thing. They also have a couple graphs where like you can filter by different variables. But with Genie, I can actually share my screen real quick and show you what I mean. With Genie, you're able to actually filter based on any criteria that you want.
Yeah, so virtually anything that you want to look for, you can find. And then just while this is loading, I'll just say too, I think he already mentioned this, but Vendoo is fantastic. Poshmark's fantastic. I love both of them. But one thing that they are, I guess you could say, lacking, and that's just because we have different purposes, is that we provide analytics across any and every platform that you sell on. And, you know, a lot of these, you know, if you're going to do consignments or something, you know, it's hard to, you know, to track that in Vendoo. You know, obviously you weren't tracking that in Poshmark. But if you have all of your information, like every single sale that you've ever made, no matter where it is, even if, like, you know, you're selling something to your neighbor across the street, like you can put all that into Genie. And so our analytics, they spread a lot farther, I guess. And then also, like, you're able to drill in a lot more specifically.
Yeah. So, so like for the sales analytics, we've got our charts up here. And if you click on filters, you can filter based on every possible field. So if you wanted to do it by brand, you could do it by brand. If you wanted to do it by department or category, you can do that. You can look at your list date, your sale date, your purchase date. all these different fields. So it gives you a lot of power at your fingertips. It might take a little getting used to, because, you know, if you haven't like filtered in a spreadsheet before, it just might be a little bit of a new experience, but I think you'll get it pretty quickly. And it really does give you a lot. So like, I'll just do, I'll do a brand real quick, just so you can see all the charts above are going to update.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So if you're more visual like I am and you don't want to see it like in a spreadsheet, all of these charts are going to update in color and in real time, and just, you know, give you that visual.
Yeah. And, you know, like filtering by brand, you're able to really dig into like the categories and subcategories of that brand that are making you money and selling.
That's an awesome tool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
It really helps with buying decisions, because if you know exactly like what pieces, what styles are selling from particular brands, then you can know like, okay, yes, Lululemon is a good brand, but I'm not going to pick up the tanks because they're not making me any money. I'm going to stick to the leggings and the jackets because those are the most profitable items. And your guys' spreadsheet really can help you analyze like every single person's individual stats, instead of like relying on somebody else in like a YouTube video saying like, oh, these do well and these don't. Like, instead we can look at our own analytics and see what works for us.
I suppose like I should also add, like for Poshmark and Vendoo, since, you know, they're dealing with like inventory and sales information exclusively, the analytics will stop at sales and inventory, but with My Reseller Genie, you also get whole company analytics. So like all your other expenses get factored in. You can see your estimated income tax balance, and that's actually right alongside of how much money you have in the bank. So just, you know, flowing from that accounting purpose our software has, you get those additional capabilities.
Yeah. So just like really quick example, in case that doesn't make a lot of sense at first. Let's say that like you're spending $100 a month renting, I don't know, renting a space so that you can store your inventory. Like My Reseller Genie is going to take that expense into account, and you're actually going to be able to see, am I still profitable? Like I might be making all these sales, but what if like my other business expenses are just like out the wazoo and, you know, and I'm not profitable as a company. So like My Reseller Genie is going to take all that into account, not just your sales. So
yeah, exactly. Because on My Closet Insights, they only show you your profit after fees, but they don't tell you like your profit after cost of goods or after everything else. And so it might look like you're making all this money, but then when you factor in all of the other expenses that go along with running a reselling business, like shipping supplies and gas when you're sourcing and all of those things, yeah, you might not actually be making as much as you think you are. Which is a scary thing to know, but it's a good thing to know too.
It's helpful. Yeah, it's going to help you to grow, like to really grow and scale your business.
Does My Reseller Genie really give you everything that you will need to prepare your taxes, or is there anything else that you might have to keep like on the side to have everything ready if you're going to hand it over to like a CPA or a tax preparer, or if you're going to do it for yourself?
Good question.
Yeah. So for, I'd say probably 99% of resellers, we've got everything that you might need. If you have employees, we're probably not for you. We're kind of targeted more towards smaller operations than, you know, something that's like a bunch of employees. But earlier I was saying that we do profit and loss statements and an inventory report. And those two reports will give you everything you need. I'm gonna share again just so you can see those. Yeah, so like you'd run a profit and loss statement detail, put in your start and end date, run that report, and this will give you all the detail you need for income. If you have any returns in there, it breaks those out separately. All these expenses up here, and then other business expenses down here. And this information you can either give to a CPA, or you can pull it out and plug it into like TurboTax or something like that if you're self-filing. And then the other report I was talking about, the inventory report, you would just select the year that you want to run it for. And there's 3 numbers you need to give the IRS when you're reporting your inventory for the year. So that's the balance at the beginning of the year, the purchases during the year, and the balance at the end of the year. And they use that information to calculate what your cost of goods sold is, like the cost of your sold inventory. And so it's all right at your fingertips, and you can even download a detail of what makes up those numbers if like your CPA or someone needs it.
Yeah. So instead of, like you searching through your spreadsheet and, filtering by date and trying to find like, oh my gosh, like what item sold and like, oh no, there was a return in there, so I can't count that, and like blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Genie will do all that for you.
While those aren't necessary to file your taxes, you do want to have copies of receipts. And right now we don't have the ability to upload those into the platform, but we just tell users to keep digital copies either in a folder on your phone or Google Drive.
Or if you want to go old school and keep the paper copies,
just
buy a really cute folder at Target or something, and you just stuff them all in there for the year. But you can insert all of the data on those receipts into My Reseller Genie. But as far as like storing the actual photos of the receipts, yeah, you're gonna have to do that yourself.
Okay, yeah, that's what I do. I have a little binder and I just keep them all by month in there. Yeah. It's old school, but I just don't feel like sitting there and scanning.
Okay. I made fun of the old school Karina, but I actually do that too. So we're together on that. It's okay.
So you mentioned on there that you can record like returns. So somebody was asking, how do you record a return? Also, if somebody does like a partial return, because like on eBay you can do that. How do you do that on my
You go to the sales tab, and my internet's being slow right now, so I apologize. But yeah, when you go into the sales tab, you'll edit a sale item by double clicking on it, and from that form, you're able to record a return. And as soon as there we go. All right, so I'm gonna clear this filter actually. And then if I wanted to do a partial return or a full return on this, I double click it, and then I say mark as returned, and it takes you to this screen, and you'll enter in what date the return took place. It's going to default to the current day. And then you'll probably have to adjust these fields down here. By default, it pulls all the fields in from the sale. But say you did a $30, like $30 came back. You change the sale price to 30. You didn't get any of the shipping costs back, so that's 0. Maybe your returned transaction fees, you got like, I don't know, $4.35 back. And sales tax, if you're tracking that, you could adjust it, or you could put it as 0 if you're not really tracking that. If you're doing a partial refund, you're probably not getting the item back. So I'm going to mark that as no. And if there's additional fees associated with it, you could add those in down here. But once you've entered all that info in, you hit create return, and it shows up down here. And all of our return details are below.
That's awesome. So when you return when you mark it as returned, does it automatically go back into the inventory, or do you have to add it into inventory again?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm going to go through that process with a different item. So on this option right here, if you mark this as yes, it will add the inventory item back to inventory. The other thing that it'll do is it'll reverse out the purchase price that was recorded to the sale. So that makes sure your inventory balance is kept proper.
Okay.
So like to go into that a little more, if the sale has a $5 purchase price, the return will have a negative $5 purchase price because you're adding the inventory item back into your active inventory.
Okay, perfect. That makes sense. And then somebody also asked, how would you record a loss? Like, say you buy something from the thrift store, you realize that it has a flaw on it and you can't return the item, so you're just going to redonate it. How would you note that? Do you just do it as like a sale and put it at $0?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So like you probably want to also add in a sale platform. So I right click that. You probably want to also add in a sale platform. So like I've got one in here for donations, but if we did like loss, damaged, you can add it in there, save it, and then you would record it as $0 sale price and select that platform so that you can, if you need to, go back and see like a detail of those items.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, no, you make everything so like, I feel like sometimes if people come into My Reseller Genie and they don't really know how it works, it can look a little bit intimidating, but it's really nice to see you guys like actually go through and do the functions that we're asking, because it's actually very simple. So it's nice to be able to see how to do all of these things.
Yes,
awesome.
For sure.
I just have like a couple more questions. If for those of us who sell on consignment, meaning we sell clothes for other people and then we pay them out their consignment payment, how do we mark that in our sales and in our inventory, I guess?
Yeah, so that's a good question. What I would recommend doing is when you list the inventory item, there's a field for notes that you can go into. And in the notes field, I would put in the name of the person who you're consigning for so that you know who it's for. And when you record the sale, you're going to record everything like a normal sale. So like here's the notes field where you would put it in. You record everything like a normal sale for whichever platform it's sold on. And that's really important, because when you get like a 1099K from that company, they're not going to know that you spent some of the money on your consignment deal. So where you'd want to record the consignment is in the expense detail. You could add it in, and I'd probably put it into listing/platform fees, add in a description, consignments for UCH, then your amount and the date that you pay them out, and just make sure that date lines up with like the check or the bank transfer or whatever you did to pay them. Gotcha.
So in that case, it wouldn't be included in like the cost of goods sold.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So like that's a little bit of a hit for your analytics functionality, but that's the best way to do it in terms of just like being able to reconcile to the 1099s you're going to get from Poshmark, Mercari, eBay.
Okay, because the way that I was doing it before is I was like calculating each individual like payout for each item and putting that as the cost of goods.
Okay.
In each individual sale. Is that bad?
So by cost of goods, do you mean the purchase price?
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, okay. Purchase price.
All right. Yeah. So I would change that because the purchase price is used to calculate inventory balances. All right. So I'd say best practice would be to change it. If you sold it during the same year that you have the purchase date recorded, it wouldn't interfere with your purchase price balances.
Okay.
So that being said, I'm hesitant to just say that's a good way to do it, because, if you had a purchase price in 2021, then you sold it in 2022, then that'll be a problem for your reporting.
Okay, perfect. Well, honestly, I think that was all of the main questions that we got about My Reseller Genie. But you guys are resellers, right?
Yes. Yep.
Or just you, Faith?
Yeah, she's the reseller. I'm an amateur. I've resold a couple items.
Yeah, for about
my fiance's the same way.
Really?
Yeah. It's really exciting when it happens.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. But he could not go to a thrift store and like sort through all the clothes that I do. I think he would think that was torture.
Yes, no, I've tried to take him with me before, and like he's such a good sport and everything, but like you can just tell his eyes just glaze over when he's in Goodwill or whatever, and he's just like, I can't. How do you do this?
It's an amazing skill set that you guys have. Like I admire it so much. I don't have it.
Awesome. Well, let me just ask you a couple fun questions, or I guess not so serious questions, but what's your favorite platform to sell on?
Oh goodness. You know, Poshmark is what I started out on. I've since, gone to Depop and Grailed and Tradesy and eBay and Mercari. I think Posh still takes the cake for me personally. Like I'm newer to eBay and I really, really like eBay. I haven't like hit my stride yet with it. But Poshmark, like the user interface and everything, it's so easy and fun to work on. So yeah, I would say Poshmark.
I totally agree.
Really?
It's hard. I made it a goal of mine to try to get my eBay sales like on par with my Poshmark sales this year.
Yeah.
Because they're not even they're far between. But yeah, so eBay is like a big mountain for me to tackle this year, and it's difficult, but it's fun. And every time I make a sale on eBay, I'm like, yes. It's so much more like fulfilling and so much more satisfying than making a sale on Poshmark.
Agreed.
Awesome. So for everybody who's watching, where can they find you one more time, for anybody who's interested in learning more about My Reseller Genie?
Yeah, so our website is www.myresellergenie.com. So we have, everything about us there. Also, if you want to follow us on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, we are My Reseller Genie. And what else?
We do have a YouTube channel.
We do have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, if you type in My Reseller Genie on YouTube, you'll be able to find us.
Yeah.
If you wanted to see some of our instructional videos.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. I will link you guys. I'll put all your guys' links down in the description box, as well as along with my affiliate code. So if you guys want to sign up for My Reseller Genie using my link, I really appreciate it. I just make a small little portion when you guys purchase through my link, but you can also get a discount. I'm forgetting the code off the top of my head, but that will all be in the description down below. But anyway, thank you guys so much for talking and chatting with me today, and hopefully we can get more people onto the My Reseller Genie bandwagon, because it's amazing and I think more people should be using it.
Thank you so much,
Karina.
Yeah,
thank you. Great talking to you.
This has been fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we'll chat later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.